Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Most. Today I'm going to answer with you an interview question in JavaScript. But before we get started, make sure to subscribe so that you get notified whenever I upload a new video. So let's get started. So the question is, as you can see, let me just zoom in, is to create a function that generates an array between two integers of one step length. And this question you might get asked this question on a whiteboard or online with a specific timer or on paper. So it depends upon the company. So you need to practice a lot. And here, if you don't understand this question, it's very simple. Here, all you need to do is to create a function that is going to create or generate numbers between two integers. And the difference between each integer is one step. So for example, if we supply the function with 15 and 10, then the result should be an array of 15 of these numbers, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, and 10. So it's going to generate an array with numbers within this range, within 15 and 10. And the step between each number is only 1. So at the end of this function, after we call this function, after we create this function and call it, we should expect this output if we supply the function with these two numbers. And I'm going to test it with many numbers to make sure that everything is correct. So the first thing is to create this function. So here I'm going to create the function and I'm going to name it generate numbers between range or within range. And it's going to take obviously two numbers, a start and end. So we have two numbers. And the start might be greater than the end. And the end might be greater than the start. So you don't know. You don't know what the user is going to supply this function with. So we need to check here if, let me just zoom so that you see better. We need here to use if statement and check if that start is greater than end or end is greater than the start. And according to that, I am going to execute a different block of code. So here, start greater than end. So if the number that the user is going to supply, the first number is greater than the end, then at this point, we need to do something, and else we need to do another thing. Actually, the difference between them is only a few things. So what we need to do in order to generate here, generate numbers between range. In order to generate these numbers, we need to take the first number and create a loop, and then we go from that number all the way down to the end number. So for example, if the start number was 15, then we need to decrease this number until we reach the end. So if the end was 10, then we need to decrease the 15 all the way to 10. So we need to decrease it to 14 first, and then to 13, and then to 12, and then to 11. And we will end up reaching the 10. So this is how it's going to work. We need to create a loop, and we start, let I equals, we start with the start, and then we decrease this I, which is equal, initially is going to be equal to the start, but here we check first if it's greater than the end, then greater or equal, then we will continue decreasing it, and we decrease it by 1. I minus minus. So here, basically what this loop is going to do is that it's going to start with 15, and then it's going to check if if 15 is greater than or equal the end, which might be, let's say, 10, then we will decrease 15 by 1. So we decrease it to 14. And then the next step, the I would be 14. So is 14 greater than or equal 10? That's true. Then we decrease I to 13 and we move on. And each time we do that, we need to store I in a result array. So I'm going to create an array here called numbers or result equals to new array. And then here inside the for, all we need to do is to use the numbers array and then push the I. That's it. And in the else statement, it's going to be very similar to this. The only exception and the only difference is that we are going to, instead of decreasing I, we will be increasing I. So we need to increase the start all the way to the end. And all I'm going to do is that I'm going to just copy the for loop and paste it inside the else. And we will, of course, start with the start. And then instead of checking if I is greater than, we need to check if I is smaller than, because here, let's say we start with 10. Then if I is smaller than, let's say the end is 15, smaller than or equal, then we need to increase this I, which is 10. Here, increase it from 10 to 11. So here it should be plus plus. And we keep doing that until we reach 15. And finally, we just push. Each time we loop, we push that number inside the numbers array. And finally, we need just to return with this array of numbers. And let me just zoom out so that you see the complete function. And also let me push that inside and also push that. And here, as you can see now, hopefully now things much better and much easier. Let's now test. Now we have this function. Let me call it. Here I'm gonna use the console.log and call this function. Generate numbers between range. And let's apply it with 15 and 10. If now I save and run, as you can see, I'm gonna get the result would be an array of these numbers: 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, and 10. But if I supply it with 10, if I start with 10 and end with 15, I'm gonna get the same exact array, but we will start with 10 all the way to 15. Let's make sure that our function is working. Let's say here, let's pass here 20 and 3. If I save and run, what I'm gonna get, as you can see, an array of all of these numbers, starting from 20 all the way to 3. If I do the reverse, if I pass here 3 and end with 20, as you can see now, I'm gonna get a set of numbers starting from 3 ending with 20. So this is the function that you need to submit at the end of the interview question. And this, by the way, this question is common as well. It's not considered a difficult question. So you might get this question asked with other questions as well. It's not a very difficult question. So my recommendation is that you practice this, try to create it by yourself. Just create this function and try to create the code without looking at this code. Without looking at it, try to create this. So that's it for this tutorial. If you liked it, make sure to subscribe and also check the description below because I have created a free ebook on how to make money online coding. This is Most. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.